Charlie, hello, first of all.
Okay.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Always good to see you, Jimmy. It's all the time.
What Rosa Parks did, not giving her seat up on that bus all those years ago, how did that affect you personally? I mean, you were in Detroit at that time, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Detroit. That was 1955.
Was Detroit a very segregated city?
You know, it's a funny thing about segregation. See, I'm come from New Orleans, and I had to move those signs from the front of the bus, put it in the back of the bus, and sit behind those signs. So I just took it for granted and just did that, you know. So, but as far as knowing that I was being segregated, I didn't feel it that much until I came up north. Because, see, when they told me I couldn't go to that particular restaurant or I had to go in that particular bathroom, whatever it was, I did that automatic because it just was a way of life. But when they came to Michigan, it was all hidden. See, people didn't tell me, they didn't want me to come to this particular club. I had some friends of mine, student of mine was a bunch of white students that were studying with me, and they lived out in Dearborn, see, in Wyandotte. So after we get through from studying, sometimes they wanted to go out and have a drink or something, a beer or something. They'd go out, and they didn't want me to come in. They didn't want to serve me. And these guys were cut up and thought of fighting in the place. So I tell them a lot of time, I said, man, let's not go through all of that. But I got exposed to it more in the northern state than I did down south because it was a way of life to me down south. That's what happened. So when Miss Parker did a wonderful thing, she had a lot of courage to put herself to test the law at that time. But it takes time for everything.
So it was so ingrained in the way you were raised in New Orleans.
It didn't bother. Only difference that if you went to the white movies, they had one entrance for you and the other entrance for them. That didn't bother me. I saw the same movie, you know.
Where was your house?
My house was in the 6th Ward. I was 3 blocks from Canal Street, where all the water was at. That's where I was at. See, I was 3 blocks from Canal. See, it's Canal, Iberville, Bienville, and Conti, and on Galvez. And if you took Galvez and went to Claiborne, then you went going right into the French Quarter. From Galvez to Claiborne is about 6 blocks. So I was about 10 blocks from the French Quarters, 3 blocks from Canal. But that whole area there where all the musicians used to stay, my dad told me that he was living on Conti before I was born. He was living on Conti and Miro, and across the street was Johnny Sincere, you see? And that whole area had, and then right over the basin was T-Bar Renee, and they had Kid Howard, you know, Kid Sheep, you know. Then uptown where the Garden District at, the Garden District was the uptown where they had up around St. Charles Street where all the white slave masters had their big fine homes and things. That was the Garden District where that's another section of the wall that wasn't flooded, you know. But the area that I was in was flooded.
So it sounds like there were all these musicians. I mean, you grew up surrounded by music. Yeah. And were there a lot of parades? We always read about parades in New Orleans.
Yes.
Why would people have a parade?
Well, you see, at a time they had an affair, a dance, or play, or anything, they would advertise that by on a wagon, the band would get on the wagon, and that's how Kid Ord put the tailgate out. They get on a wagon, they go to the different establishments, and the band would play, advertise whatever function that's coming up. If someone coming to town, they would get on the wagon, they go around and advertise what would be happening with who would come to town, where they're gonna be performing at. So that's why they had a lot of parades. They have a parade for anything.
And it was always were these brass bands? That,
yeah,
that
it'd be brass bands. It'd be brass band because you're and when they advertise you to be, sometimes they have a full set of drum. When I come up to start having a full set of drum, see, but before that time, they used to have snare drum and just the bass drum and the trombone player and the trumpet player and the tuba player, and that's what they had the parade. That's before I thought the playing. See, because before that, that's where the band was set up. And Fletcher Henderson put the brass together and put the reeds together and started the swing area. But before that time, it was separate.
So your family played music then?
Yeah, my family originally came in from Singer Dominguez. My great-grandfather named Narcisse Gabriel. And he came into New Orleans around 1856. My grandfather, Martin Joseph Gabriel, was born in New Orleans in 1873. And my father, who was named Martin Manuel Gabriel, was born in New Orleans in 1899. And I was born in New Orleans in 1932. See, my grandfather had sisters, see, and they all were musicians too. And they played guitar, Mary, Alice. And I didn't know these people because they was all dead when I was born.
I've read that in the early days, you know, you had different groups of musicians who were all, I guess, considered colored. You know, like you had the Creoles.
Yeah.
You know, like Jelly Roll Morton and Sidney Bechet.
So you had the French Creole and you had the Spanish Creoles. See. Well, with my grandfather and them coming from Singer Dominguez, they was Spanish Creoles. See, and on my mother's side, they're French. So we have French and Spanish. Then you have the African, and then you have the Italian, and all them different nationalities of people down there. They separated themselves by the pick and taking of this game. They did that on their own.
But was this was the music which they played different?
No. The Creoles uptown, the Garden District, my dad told me, they stayed together, played together, all of them. See, and some of the Creole passed for white, just like I was mentioned on the original jazz band. They were the first group that recorded this music in 1923, but there were two Creoles and they passed them for white. See, and they wasn't white. But when you go across the line, they don't pull the cuff off of one another. See? Just like my mother's brother and them had the Salad Green show out of New Orleans.
So this was a show where it was...
That was the largest show came out of New Orleans.
What would a show consist of? If you went to see the Silas Green show, what is it you would actually see?
What you would have, from what I can understand, it was a full cast of people. I can show you a picture on the wall up there, where it consisted of the pictures on the wall there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you that.
But I mean, you had music and you had acrobats and
you had
dancers.
Acrobats, like a circus. You know, they had rolled the tight wire over the bike, set, you know, jugglers and all the thing, comedian, singers and dancers, and a full chorus line of girls. Big production, big stage production.
What was it that was unique to New Orleans to have all this music? Everywhere there seems to have been, there's music everywhere in New Orleans. There's still music everywhere. What is it?
You know, listen to my dad talk, and of course I seen it myself too. People just will walk down the street singing duets. Just 2-3 guys, they just walk down and they'd be singing. My dad said he quoted my mother by coming, and we get off from work at nighttime, they get underneath the window and they sing to my mother, you see, and she'd come out and say, "Manny, come on inside," around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. New Orleans is a place I would say that so many different nationalities of people are there, and they all brought their individual culture there, and it was like a melting pot, you know. And it was the largest seaport down south, so they brought so many million of slaves down there. See, and They didn't used to let them sing or dance until they wanted to sell them at Congo Square. So it was just a musical city. And by all of them being up in that area, they had a chance to mingle with one another, intermarry with one another, and they drew from one another. It was a melting pot, that's what I would say.
Were there a lot of instruments available if you wanted to
No,
study
there was
music?
no instrument in New Orleans at that time. The black musician didn't get no instrument until after World War I. When the World War I ended, then they would discard these instruments. Then those black musicians that was playing would get an instrument. Before that time, they used to make their instruments. They made their own guitar, they made their own bass. But they didn't let them sing or dance until they were ready to sell the slave. That's when they were able to sing and dance. But the white master know that they worked it in rhythm, and he allowed them to do it. When he found out, he get more work out of them.
Work songs.
Work songs, see.
What was your first instrument?
My first instrument was a potato whistle. Potato whistle was a little fat whistle with 6 holes in it. And we played it, me and my cousin Clarence Forward. Cost a quarter. And he had one first. And we were playing the whistle by the numbers. And he told me about it, and he went and got me one for a quarter. And I was playing it. So my dad came home, and he saw us playing them potato whistles. We were playing little duets by the numbers. So, oh, y'all want to play music, huh? So he went and got the clarinet. And gave me the clarinet and gave him a clarinet, but I want to play trumpet. So I was always banging at the piano, touching the piano. Get away from there, he said. You're going to play something else. You know, you're going to play this. You didn't have no say, so I want to play trumpet. He said, too many trumpet players in the house. You're going to play the clarinet. So that was my first instrument. I never did got to play the other instruments for a long period of time.
So your dad, he earned his living as a musician?
Yeah, my dad earned his living. My dad was worked in the WPA band. That was when the Depression came in. All the musicians was in the WPA band. It's a work band. That's how they all was able to survive. All of the musicians that I know, and my dad working there, and then he also did slate work. Slates on the top of the houses, put slate like roofing. And he got that from my grandfather. My grandfather used to do slating and do roofing thing, and he fixed the graves at the graveyard. And he had the National Jazz Band too. All the musicians around New Orleans had 2 jobs. They played music on the side, but they had a day job.
And that was because there wasn't enough money?
Enough money.
In music?
Wasn't enough money to go around to take care of their families.
When you played music, though, when your dad played music, did he make good money?
Well, at that time.
For the time, I mean, could he have survived? Well, if you'd have played enough music, would he have been able to support you, his family?
No, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so, because my mother used to work 2 or 3 jobs.
Wow.
See, my mother worked at the hospital. She was also working a colonel at the cleaners, the colonel. She also worked at the community chest, and we had to get out of school and meet her at the community chest place and help her clean those offices up. Me and my sister, we got out of school maybe like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I said, well, y'all meet me at the community chest office, and we clean those offices up with her, you know. She little part-time job, and so I don't think he would have had enough money to raise a family. Of course, I was poor, but didn't know I was poor.
But you always had enough.
Had enough of everything.
And,
yeah,
you know, and
all the time.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I has that my mother probably had gave my dad 17 kids. That's what the poor dad had. But I don't remember those. All I remember is 11. See, and so I had 5 brothers and 5 sisters. See, after that, and everybody plays music. Everybody. My little brother Elliot played the piano. Joe played bass, and I played sax and clarinet. You know, my dad originally was a drummer. until he had rheumatism and he couldn't carry the drums. So my mother was playing the clarinet, and my dad told my mother, he said, Emily, if she showed me the scale on the clarinet, I'll play Home Sweet Home. My mother showed my dad the scale on the clarinet, and he played Home Sweet Home, and then he became a saxophone player later on. See, but he originally was a drummer. Now, my father had, my Uncle Percy was his youngest brother, played bass, and I understand he played saxophone too, but I never heard him play sax. And my Uncle Clarence played the banjo and piano. He was a wonderful piano player. I got some things with him. All this stuff of him is at the Tulane Jazz Archives, where he played the piano and interview, and he played the piano and playing the banjo. Just, if you ever want to hear something, they just call out there and they will let you listen to some of the music on Clarence with.
What kind of music, when you first of all, did you rehearse as a band? Was this the Gabriel family band?
Well,
sort of,
my dad taught all of us. See, my dad's sister and our brother played piano. His sister, my other aunt Cecile, played piano and working also at the church. My Uncle August married my Aunt Alberta. He was a trombone player and wound up being a bass player, which you'll see him over there playing bass. So it was music every day at my house. Every day. It was not a day passed that didn't have music. So my Uncle Clarence would come over and he'd be playing the piano, and my Uncle August would come play the bass. Daddy played the drum. You know, Daddy played the drum. Uncle Percy was on the road with Jay McShann Band. See, Uncle Percy was always on the road. Then my brother Martin would play trumpet, you know, August would play. Daddy got me and my cousin Clarence Ford in there. They thought the playing, we'd just jam all the time in the house. And then on Sunday, we played a lot of hymns. So Daddy made us play a lot of hymns on Sunday because he was teaching the blind band at a blind school. And he wanted the blind kids to hear these hymns so they can play them.
What other types of music did you play?
At the time I played everything, see. We played traditional jazz, but I was listening to rhythm and blues in New Orleans, because I remember Roy Brown came out with Dad's Gonna Rock Tonight. I heard the news, Dad's Gonna Rock Tonight. And I was listening to T-Bone Walker, playing the guitar, T-Bone Walker with the guitar behind his back and all of that. But they work at the Chissy Tea Room, the Cindy Club. That's where I saw Louis Armstrong at the Coliseum. See, Coliseum was a arena where you did the boxing and fighting. When Louis Armstrong came to New Orleans, that's on Corntyre Street, too, down the block from my house, 2 blocks from my house. My dad took me down to see Louis Armstrong band. We came down there with a big band. And I had a chance to meet Louis. My dad told that I was playing, and Louis looked at me and said, Manny, I'm going to steal this kid from you. I believed him. I believe he meant that, but he just was joking, you know. When I met Louis Armstrong, when I met Louis, I had to be between 12 and 13 years old. I've been playing about 2 years or 3 years then, because I started playing professionally at 11 years old.
Oh, you started playing professionally. What was your first job?
My first job was a funeral with the T-Boy Renee Band, the Eureka Band. I got the thing over there. T-Boy Renee Band, they had the band. And that band, he had majority of the musicians that was in the WPA band, like Willie Humphrey, Red Clark, Percy Humphrey, Jim Little, Jim Robertson, Guy Madison, Kid Clayton, Abby Williams, Joseph Frog, Frogman Joseph, all these guys were members of the WPA band, was member of the T-Bar Reggae band with the Rika band. So I was about 11 years old, and Georgia Lodge, you know. So by me able to read good, you know, and they had a lot of other musicians in the service at that time, and they were still lacking a lot of musicians. They let me stay in the band.
Wow.
But Dad used to tell them all the time, don't help him, let him play. I want you to pay him like a man.
Wow. So you were reading music then?
Yeah, I read a lot of music. I was a good reader at that time.
Did everyone in your family read music?
Yeah, but if you didn't read no music, you got a lot of exercise to head. Daddy take my pants down, and this bare material sitting up there, he put a belt on it for missing a note.
Really?
Not one note, all the time. And if you don't, give my brother them a backhand slap. Man, they call you wooden ear. Can't you hear that? Wooden ear. Yeah, I got a lot of licking there. The guy used to say, man, don't hit the kid. He said, shut up. Tell him right away. I remember one particular time I was working with my dad, and I was playing clarinet. And the lady walked up to me. I'm a little boy. I'm about 12, 13 years old. Say, son, can you play Give Me 5 Minutes or More? Daddy got the band there. He got a big band. He got about 9, 10 pieces. I said, I don't know it. Daddy said, sing it to him. Told the lady. The lady said to me, give me 5 minutes more, only 5 minutes more. Let me be by your side all day long. Whatever it is, she sung it to me. I said, Dad, I don't know. She said, sing it to him again. She sung it. Give me 5 minutes more, only 5. And she finished. He said, play it. I don't know it. Bang! The man said, don't hit the kid. He said, shut up. I played it. Do boo bee, boo boo bee bee boo boo boo. I didn't want to get another hit. Yeah. I'll memorize that thing real quick.
That's tough love.
That's for tough love. But you know, it might have been tough, but that's the way he teached everybody. Because he had a lot of students come to the house, and they said they didn't want to go to Mr. Gabriel, Professor Gabriel's house, because he emphasized the head. But they still come. See, he taught a lot of kids.
How did your dad learn music? You said he was
His
born
father taught him.
He was born in
1899, I think. And his daddy was, my grandfather was originally an accordion player. When they came, his father was a bass player. He was playing accordion at Anderson down in Sturrisville. Mm-hmm. And Manus Panaz and Buddy Bolden, those two guys, they have a toss-up, which one is the first jazz cornet, Manus Panaz or Buddy Bolden? Mm-hmm. Well, Manus Panaz was working at a club down in Sturrisville, was taking all the business from Anderson, see? So the gangster came in there and told my grandfather, said, Manny, he'd call him, say, Manny, you and Freddie Kepler was playing violin. Freddie Kepler was playing violin in the band. So you and Freddie got to play cornet because Manus Panaz is taking all the business from here. My grandfather said, well, I don't play no cornet. And he told Freddie Kepler, you don't play no cornet. He said, well, plus we don't have no cornet. He said, you'll have one tomorrow. The next day they had 2 cornets. So my grandfather and Freddie Kepler took lessons from Professor Atavia and became cornet players. That before Freddie Kepler, that before he changed from violin to trumpet. And you know, he was the first guy off the recording contract to record that music. And then he became a great trumpet player, Freddie Kepler.
So your dad played music his entire life?
And my grandfather played music his entire life. But I don't know how about I see Gabriel. I know about him when he moved into New Orleans. That's all. And I got that information when I went to France. Isn't that something? I didn't know nothing. I didn't know who I was until I went to France in 1969. When I went to France in 1969, the guy approached me because I was Rita Franklin, and he told me I was from New Orleans, and I told him no, I was from Detroit. And he shook his head and said, no, you're from New Orleans. And he was angry, and he asked me, he said, what's your name is? And I told him, Charlie Gabriel. He asked me if I knew Manny Gabriel. I said, yes, my father. That's when he took a liking to me and took me around Nice, France, and showed me Saint-Denis statue and everything else. But he knew my grandfather. He didn't know my father because he started calling, you got Manny got a sister, Alice played banjo and so on and so on. I never heard these names before. Mary played this, and until I came home, I told my dad, I said, Dad, you got known all over in France. I told him what happened. He said, no, he didn't know me, he knew my pa. He said, my pa, they called my daddy Manny and called me Little Man. So that's when I started putting a tape recorder down on everybody in my family, and I retaped them all, telling them about their life when they was coming up.
When you started playing professionally at 11, now you were still in school.
Yeah, I went to school every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
And you'd play music? At
night, but my dad mostly on the weekend, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And what, were you always playing in a marching band? Or?
No. It wasn't a marching band. When they had a funeral, I played with the Rica Jazz Band, understand? Something of that nature. But usually, those guys would have like Danny Moody, who lived in Biloxi, Mississippi. He'd call my dad, say, Manny, can you work this weekend with me? My dad said to him, no, I can't do it, but I'll send you the kid. That was me. Boom, I go and play with Danny Moody. Danny Moody be playing rhythm and blues, whatever it is.
So you were playing rhythm and blues with some of the guys.
Yeah.
And then with George Lewis, presumably you'd play more traditional stuff.
So I had a chance to play all kind of music, you know.
And you were playing clarinet.
Clarinet, and first I was playing clarinet and C melody saxophone.
Oh.
See, and then I got a clarinet. Then I got to play a little tenor, but mostly clarinet.
But this was all when you were still in New Orleans. You were playing C melody. Why did you pick a C melody? Did you?
The horn my daddy had available for me. He couldn't buy no.
What did you? Who did you like when you started? When you were playing?
I like the Jimmy Dorsey.
On
alto.
On alto.
I like the Jimmy Dorsey, man. That was my man there. Yeah, that was my man, Jimmy Dorsey. My booty. Oh man, that was my man.
What about on clarinet? When you started playing
when I was playing clarinet, I didn't know too much about the different artists on the clarinet. I had George Lewis there showing me a lot of things on the clarinet. Then I had Cornbread, Brother Cornbread. You ever heard of him?
Sure.
Brother Cornbread was a very good clarinet player. Then the guy I really liked it, Cantrell. He was a wonderful clarinet. He used to play Stardust on the clarinet, and I used to listen to him all the time. He was a wonderful clarinetist. Then my dad had Sam Lee. Sam Lee was a tenor player in the Dad Ving Band. This was a big band like Duke Ellington Band. They had a full reed section. For any time they had any music anywhere, my dad went playing, he took me to it. I seen all the bands. See? And when the WPA band played, he took me to them, made me sit right there by the band and listen to everything that they did. They did William Tell overtures and all that stuff. They did those shadow shows. They did little puppet shows. I saw all that at an early age. See, all the time. I went to see everything.
Why did you start to play tenor?
Well, I really wanted to be an alto player. I was playing alto, see? And my cousin Clarence Ford was playing tenor. So Clarence went on the road with Guitar Slim, and from one band to other band. And then I thought playing tenor, because you get more work on the tenor than you'll get on the alto.
Oh, you mean because it was just because of the rhythm and blues thing?
The rhythm and blues thing.
So
get more work.
You played that. That's where you got that great style.
Yeah, playing tenor because you got more work on it. But then I began to listen to Coleman Hawkins. And I started listening to Dunbar, and I started listening to Lester Young, and you know, on and on. And so I just stayed on the tenor.
What about tenor? What was it about the tenor saxophone that you liked?
I like the sound of the tenor for one thing, but I find the tenor. I must develop a relationship with tenor years ago, because even when I'm singing, my voice sounds like a tenor. I sing in that range of the horn. Mm-hmm. You know. So
how hard of a reed do you use?
I use a soft reed, soft as I can use. I'm using about a 3 right now.
So how did you end up coming to Detroit?
Well, it goes back to my brother Martin and my sister Florence, my sister Manuela. They were young. They were young adult, like 21, 22 years old. And they decided that they're going to go to California, out to California, to get my mother out of the cold, out of New Orleans, get a better lifestyle for us. But by being young, they decided to go through Chicago, and they taking a long way around. When they got to Detroit, they broke down. When they broke down, they needed money to get the car fixed. So, but this in 1941. See, this is about during the time the war was going on, and they had a lot of the factories was working, making tanks and things. So they got a job in the factory to get the money to get their car fixed and everything. The money was so good and everything else. So they decided to stay here and put a down payment on the place for my mother to come up here. So my mother came up here and she liked it. She came back to New Orleans again, told my dad about it, and said, well, we're going to migrate to Detroit. See? So they started migrating to Detroit around 42, 43 years old. But I stayed in New Orleans with my dad because I was playing music. Lady, you want to come here, huh? Come on, lady. Come on, lady. Oh, you ain't getting so old, little sweet thing, you girl. My little dog is 90 so much years old now, and she don't know what she want to do. Now lay there. Now you just be nice. Lay down, lay down. Now you're happy.
So it seems kind of odd. Your brothers were going to move your mom out to California for the better climate.
Yeah.
And then she ended up
wound
in
up here in Detroit.
What did she? How did she like winter?
Well, you know, my mother's been used to going back and forth to New York. To all her people was in New York. Uh-huh. They went to New York back in the early 20s, so she was used to that snow and everything else. So there wasn't no problem to her. It was me that wasn't used to the winter, which I'm still not used to winter.
When you and your dad came to Detroit, what season was it?
Winter.
Oh, was it in the winter?
I had a chance to see snow for the first time. Yeah, it was winter. Yeah, it was winter time when I came to Detroit.
What? So you enrolled in high school?
Yeah.
What high school?
I went to elementary school first. I went to Condon, up here on the boulevard, and Buchanan.
Did your dad play music in Detroit too?
Soon my dad got here to Detroit, it's the funniest thing. Oh, I sure he played music in Detroit. He got a job at Ford Motor Company in the factory in Uncle Percy. Then he sent from Uncle Percy to come up. Uncle Percy came up, and then together they started playing with Deacon Jones up in Toledo, Ohio. Meanwhile, they decided to start playing around here in Detroit. And in Toledo, they were playing at the Park Lane Hotel. Mm-hmm. Then they started playing here in Detroit. That's when they met majority of Tom Saunders and all those other musicians. And we're going up to this club up here on 75 and Taylor. I started playing in the club. I was a well-seasoned musician myself. you know. But I couldn't play in the club until I had to be 21 years old. So I used to put eyebrow pencil and make mustache on me. Like I had a mustache, and my brother August would ask me, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 25." He said, "What's your name?" "I'm August Gabriel." So I passed as my brother August. And my brother Martin played the piano. When we first got here, we all started playing together. My brother Martin started playing the piano, which you see him on the wall over there. My brother August was playing trumpet, and I was playing saxophone, you know. So that's how that is. So by playing in the club, I had a chance to meet all these different musicians. See?
What clubs do you remember?
I remember, well, I played the old timers. I played Lee Sensation. I played the House of Joy. I played, then later on I played the Friday Showboy, and I played the Chesterfield, and I played Elsino Club, the Zombie,
right?
Yeah, Congo Lounge.
Wow.
You know.
So, how did you establish yourself in Detroit? I mean, you were working with different bands at each of these clubs.
Yeah, I played with, when I first came here, I started playing with Calvin Fraser. Oh. Calvin Fraser, Bobo Jenkins. I started playing the blues with them.
A lot of blues stuff.
Yeah, a lot of blues. Calvin Fraser, Bobo Jenkins, you know.
Was the money better?
Oh, no.
Than what you were making in New Orleans? I mean, could you live as a musician in Detroit?
Let's put it this way. The money that I made in New Orleans, I didn't even see it because my dad get all my money to my mother. See, I had they gave me 15 or 20 cents to go to school, which was a lot of money to me.
Sure.
You know, because we went to the movie for a nickel. So, and I took my girlfriend to the movie for the other nickel, and I bought a nickel for all night sucker candy, and we both sucked on the candy together. So, I didn't know about it. But when I got to Detroit, well, we were working for about $5 a night. Then we wound up making $10 a night. I worked at Eagle Show Bar. I worked down the block from Klein's at the I can't think of another club. They had the Eagle and they had Dennis Show Bar. I worked all them little clubs. They were just paying $10 a night. First started at 7, then it went up to 10.
Wow.
When you got $10, I remember one time I told a guy at the Eagle Show Bar, I wanted to get another piano player. And I told him, I said, man, I need a piano player, but he didn't want to work for $7. I could give him $10. I said, I don't care if you get Duke Ellington, I ain't giving him nothing but $10, $7. He was paying up with $7. I only wanted $3 more. I said, I don't care who you get, you ain't getting but $7.
Wow.
So that would be amazing. Then it went up to $10, and then it went up to $15. We never made too much.
Were you a member of the union?
Yes.
Had you been a member of the musicians in the union in New Orleans?
No, I wasn't a member, but I'm a member of the union in New Orleans now. See, when I was in New Orleans, I wasn't no member of the union.
So why was that? I mean, in Detroit, you pretty much had to be a member, didn't you?
Yeah, because you had guys like Jimmy Lewis and another bass player named Willie Green walk around here, and they'd be checking on you. And if you would have no union card, they'd knock you off the job. And then later on, I got to be the band leader for Joe Simon, and I went up to Chicago, and they had come there with a pistol, the business representative, and told me if I didn't have all the guys in the band, by the time I get to Washington, D.C. at the Howard Theater, I had answered to him, and he showed me that big old 45. You go around with a pistol, and that's why Willie Green probably got, because everybody know he had a gun on him, you know. So yeah, you had to get in the union here.
So when do you remember your first job in Detroit where you could play bebop? I mean, you were playing blues, you were playing rhythm and blues. I mean, was there a first job where you got in with some younger guys that played more bebop?
I always tried to play whatever anybody else was playing, you know, because you see, Barry Harris living up there on Russell Street, and I used to go up there and just sit in with him and me and Claude Black, you know. Clawback was playing trombone, you know, and Down the Bird. We all get together and play. So I would just play with those cats. And then they had jam session at a club here up on Verna Highway down in the Bateman. Pepper Adams used to come. His mother used to bring him around to all the jam sessions. So that's how I met Pepper Adams. And we jammed down there. And then Kenny Burrell and they were working out to the north end. West End out there, and what they call that, that town out there is, they got a name for that place. I don't know. Anyway, they had, the West End was there, and we had that hotel. We go out there and play out there, and they had the Checker Barbecue here on Illinois. We go over there in Illinois, the freeway, we go over there and play. We go to the jam session, you know, but there was no particular bebop gig. You know, there wasn't no such thing as you play a bebop gig. The only bebop gig they had was Klein Showboat that I can think of. That were you and the Bluebird.
Did you go to the Bluebird?
Yeah, I went to the Bluebird. That's when Frank Foster was playing at the Bluebird. Frank Foster and Joe Henderson, see, and Lamont Hamilton. See, I had to go to I studied a little bit with Lamont Hamilton. He had a lot to do with my learning my tenor like I do. I showed me a lot on my horn. So I used to go to the Bluebird. See, so there wasn't no other bebop gig I can think of. You know, can you think of any?
Well, just the Bluebird, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think of it.
There weren't that many.
Club Wanzer.
Oh, Club Wana.
Yeah, but I played at the old time. I played with Matthew Ruffer. See, Matthew Ruff was at the old time. I played with the old timer Matthew Ruffer. And he had a nice book. Yeah.
So, when you met these young guys, I mean, did you find Detroit to be welcoming to you as a musician?
Yes. I had no problem. Fell right into the pot. James Gidding, I mentioned to you, played trumpet and piano. Had no problem. There's other musicians around here. I can't think of their names now. But it's a funny thing about musicians. They didn't scorn you or nothing like that. If you can play, they let you right in. If you can't play now, you're going to have a hard time trying to get across that thing with them. Sonny Ray.
Sonny Ray?
Yeah. No matter where I'm playing, that Sonny Ray would come and get me and cut my head. He used to cut people's head, you know, and get your job. I can be on the other side of town, and I don't know how he come in, he peep through that thing, see me. There comes Sonny Ray. Here he comes. I had to fight him again with that horn.
What would you fight him on? What would you guys?
The best song I knew how to play.
What was it?
They were Fine and Danny. Boo 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 dee dee or Idaho bee dee da Idaho. Idaho, how'd that go? I just come from Idaho too. Da 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 da. Idaho.
Did he like to play fast?
Oh, Sonny Ray liked to play anything, man. Sonny Nightingale, did Little Nightingale. He played beautiful alto too. Yeah.
And Sonny, when you were talking about Sonny, he was a tenor player. He was playing more tenor than alto then?
Yeah, I was playing tenor all the time.
You were playing tenor all the time?
Yeah, but it didn't make no difference. What horn you playing, he gonna cut your head.
When did you start leading? Do you remember any gigs you had where you were the leader?
Well,
early?
I thought being the leader when I ran to Emmett Smith.
Emmett Slay?
Emmett Slay, that's his name, Emmett Slay. Emmett Slay and Joe Hunter. Emmett Slay told me, say, Charlie, you know, there's a booking agent out there in Wisconsin that want trios. He said, now tell them what I'm going to do. Every club I work in, I'll mention your name and you can follow me with a trio. But before that time, I was working in this majority predominantly black clubs. Until after Emmett Slade turned me into this booking agent, I started working majority of white clubs, you know, and then that went on down to Miami, working at Miami, and I started working all through different other parts of the country with my trio.
Who was in your trio?
My first trio I had was Nathan Ribron and Paul Hunt. And pictures on them all over there.
And Paul Hunt played?
Drum. I had an interracial trio, and the white drummer and two black guys, and the white club wouldn't hire me when I first started playing, and the black club wouldn't hire me. So we were suffering both ways. I tried to go into 20 grand, they wouldn't hire me.
Purely because
you had a white guy playing a mixed band, you know. And I couldn't get no job in the black club. And the white club didn't want to hire me. They didn't want to hire me. Then they asked me, going down to Miami, the guy that booking they asked me, said, Charlie, he said, I can book you down to Miami. Say, but they don't have no black groups down there. They don't hire black group. He said, can you be something else? I said, I'll be what you want me to be. What you want me to be? He said, well, if you can be something, I can book you down in Miami at this club with a trio. And, Paul was playing drum. I said, I went to Nate. I said, well, Nate said, well, you be a Utopian, and I'll be your overseer. Utopian is an island down in the Philippines, you know, black people, and Nate was my overseer. So they booked me down there. See, and I was walking, and I started talking my talk. I said, then I told you this when I was talking like a dick, and you don't tell me now. And God said to me, he told me that Paul, he told Paul, you can drink at the bar. He said, but this guy can't drink. We're talking about Nathan. I didn't need to talk like that. He could be drinking on the bar. I said that he could be. I said, what did he say then, Nathan? And he said, you can drink. I don't know like it like that. I don't like it like that. I can't drink it. If I drink at the bar, you drink at the bar too. And so me and them both was able to drink at the bar. And that was before the segregation was over with down in Miami.
So Detroit then was pretty, it sounds like it was pretty segregated in that sense.
Yeah, it was segregated. Detroit was very segregated. But I didn't know until I got here. Yeah. See? So I can go across the line when I will go across the line. I always knew how to do that. So I can go when I want to. I just wrap a thing around my head and start talking about it like this. You want me to talk more like that?
And that's when you had your Calypso band.
Well, I didn't go across the line on Calypso band. I stayed straight. I stayed straight with Calypso band.
So Charlie, you've been talking about, we just mentioned your Calypso band, and that points up to something about New Orleans music, about jazz, that it took into account so many different cultures, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And it took into account so many different rhythms. And how did all this stuff come together?
Well, you know, it goes all the way back to when the Moors conquered Spain back in the 8th century. Then later on in the 15th century, when the Moors and the Spanish melody got together, which is African rhythm and Spanish melody, they created what we call habanero music. Habanero music created all the other rhythm that we have other than foxtrot and waltzes. You have the bolero, you have the beguine, you have the congo, you have the mambo, you have the salsa, you got the merengue, you got the calypso. So it's underlined. It's come true when they brought the slaves into the New United States. They went to the Caribbean. That's back later on, but it goes all the way back first from the 8th century. But when they started bringing the slaves over back in the 18th century, what it was is they thought brought about 2 million slaves over directly from Africa into New Orleans. See, then the music took a different avenue. See, guys like W.C. Handy had a chance to hear Ma Rainey, who was our first blues vocalist, sing and using these slur notes and flat thirds and flat five. At that time, they wasn't called that. They would listen to that, and he was able to hear that. He wrote his first blues, street blues. Then later on, he wrote the St. Louis blues when he introduced to society was to be habanero music, a tango. That was a tango that he written in the St. Louis Blues. However, the music itself, the habanero music, you catch it through the spiritual, the gospel, through the funk, through rhythm and blues, and through traditional jazz. Not Dixieland. Dixieland is another thing. Dixieland is a thing that people put on traditional jazz, but Dixieland is the area the music comes from, but society accepts the term of Dixieland. You know what I mean? But it's really the area the music comes from. See, the music was named many things before it was called Dixieland. It was called ratty music, which was music that black people played, and it wasn't heard on the airwave. So it was nasty music, they call it, and some people call it devil music, you know. However, later on, when it changes from ratty music, it changes to ragtime, and that's when Jerry Old Morgan, Scott Joplin were playing the music, and it was accepted in society at that time, and the white musicians were notating the music. They're the one that notated the music, and they would say what they wanted it to be. So when they notated it and they called it ragtime, it was accepted. Then later on, they called it jazz, but like someone said, with JSS, which was the derogatory term, they say, but later on, JAZZ. But habanero music is really an American form of music. It's the only form that, only American music that we have that habanero is in it. All of our music, even your popular music today, habanero music, the rhythm in these songs that you hear, these songs you hear, with all these different bands, got some habaneros, and you got those Spanish melodies, those beautiful melodies you hear, and you got all this rhythm going on. And each rhythm is related to habanero music. That's what that's about.
Charlie, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Man, it was great, man. All the time to see you, Jimmy.
It's always wonderful.
you know it is.
And I love it when you talk like you do that thing and go to the bar and you can
anytime
you want to. Anytime you want to.
Anytime I want to, I'll do that. All right.